Hey guys, welcome back to Garage 31. This week's we're going to be talking problems with Shimano derailleurs, specifically the clutches. We've got three different derailleurs here. Shimano Z that has a clutch issue, as you can see by here. It just the cage just sticks out to the side. I've got a donor clutch in this one. This XTR is broken, but the clutch is good. And I've got a GRX, the gravel derailleur. The clutch is not quite as bad as the Z, but it is causing some shifting problems. So let me take the Z apart. I'll show you the issue. Then we're going to take the clutch off of this guy and replace it into here. Clutches are available. They're called stabilizer units from Shimano, like 25 bucks Canadian, not too expensive. And generally, once there's issues with them, especially like this, like the gears work-ish, but you can never really fine-tune. The only real solution is just to replace it with a good one. So let's start by taking the C apart. So this is the broken Shimano Z. There's what's called a B-spring in here, which should allow the cage to return back. But as you can see here, the cage is just seized, and that's because the clutch in this is seized too. So we're going to take a 2mm Allen key and remove all these, well, the 3 bolts there. Okay, then we'll take the cover off. And so this is the clutch here. This is the clutch on with this lever, gold lever. So that's off now. So if you watch, the clutch is in here. There's 2 pieces of metal that come around, and then they get pinched by this part here. There's actually a the lever is attached to this part here, which has a raised section, which then compresses. See that compresses the clutch, and then makes it this a lot stiffer. Now you can kind of see how dirty and rusty it is. So this one's junk. Let me show you a good one. I'll just take the XTR apart. So this one does work. So with you can see the return spring there working fine. But with the clutch, its clutch is off there. Clutch is on. It's stiffer, but it still comes back. So I'm going to do the same steps as the Z and just take this cover off. 3 bolts. Now you can see that there's a few differences in the clutch design. The Saint, the arms go up. The XTR, the arms go to the side. There's also the way you adjust the clutch. On the XTR, there's a 2mm bolt, which then you can preload this and make it tighter or looser. These are, I would say, like the older style, or like the GRX uses this. It's a very small, it's a 6mm wrench. Not quite as ideal, but most of the mountain bike stuff is the 2mm. And on the higher end XT and XTR, there is actually a port here where you can then stick your Allen key through and then adjust that bolt. So a little bit handy. Now the reason why these fail is because this seal here, which runs around the edge, is useless. It doesn't do its job. So if you have a new-ish derailleur or brand new derailleur, or your current derailleur is working fine, when we go to install this clutch on the GRX derailleur, we're going to pack it full of grease, and we're going to grease the edge here, and that's going to create a 100% seal, and then you won't have these problems ever. So even though this part here is different, this part here is exactly the same. So we're not going to reuse this, but we are going to use that. Take it off. I'm going to undo the clutch like that. You may need a small flat blade screwdriver. I'm just going to stick it up under here and just pull off. So you can see this one's like pretty clean, it's greased. That's the part we need. Clean the crap off of it, and that one's ready to go. And let me show you, let me just take the Z apart and see how bad that is. Well, so you can see there that the clutch is seized to the mount it goes on, and only the metal ring that surrounds it wanted to come off, but both are super crusty. So this one's junk. Then we'll go over to the GRX one and take that apart. Just removed the cover off the GRX. It doesn't look too bad. I've already been here and tried to oil it up, but generally speaking, once they start having problems, you're never going to fix it. So just buy a new one, 25 bucks. We'll get you this part here. It doesn't really matter if it's for your specific derailleur, because this part here, the clutch, is generally universal. This part's a little bit different. So I'm going to remove that. I'll show you a close-up of that, and then we'll clean up the post where it goes on, and then fit the new one. Okay, so I'm going to stick my screwdriver underneath here. Remove it like that. See, it's pretty gross there. And the inside of the cover, inside the cover is super rusty too. So even though it looks good from the outside, it's actually pretty gross. Clean this up. Might want to use some penetrating oil or some disc brake cleaner or something like that, just to get the most of it. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there's 2 or 3 styles of this kind of compression unit. 2mm Allen key or a small wrench. Now, as you can see, that they're slightly different in size, and the holes are different too. So this one here is for this derailleur. It's got a U shape there, like a semicircle, and a rectangle. This one's got nothing, and then a square there. And those features mount to bits like this. There's a little half moon there, which is going to line up with this guy. Obviously, this hole here is going to go on this post. Now we want to orientate the cam, or the raise section, which is here, of the clutch, so that it engages, it squeezes the 2 parts together. Now the clutch is going to sit here and go up, so we want this to be, the raise section to be facing backwards. So if I install it here without the clutch on, like that, it sits in there. Now if I move this, you can see it moves the clutch around. You can see that it moves the clutch around just like that, and it's going to pinch those 2 parts together. So here's the new clutch, which is going to go on like that. You can't turn it once it's on, so if you see here, it's like very hard to turn. So you have to line it up straight or on this side and then twist it right into place. If you go too far, you can't turn it back. You got to take it off. It's a little bit tricky with this because you have to put them on together at the same time. So you'll line up that guy there. I recommend putting that one on first, swapping this around. I've only got this on a small amount. There we go. Now I can push them both together, and now they fully sat in there. If you go to put the cover on now, you may find that this, because this part comes off, this might be raised closer to the camera. So you can take a small screwdriver, just push that back. See, it moved there. And now you got some clearance. Now we're going to put the O-ring back in. We're going to grease here, and we're going to grease around the seal on the cover. So the seal only goes on one way. See if you can get it in there. There we go. I'm going to take some grease and I'm just going to dab it around the side of here. This is really where the problem starts. And then I'm going to stick this on like that, and the grease will hold it in place. Put my screws back in. There we go. Wipe the excess grease off. Check for function. So off there, on, much stiffer. Comes back. I'll just run through the gears and make sure it actually works properly. So if you're having shifting problems, it's not your cable or anything like that, Just turn off your clutch and see if it improves it. If it does improve it, then you'll know the clutch is bad. Again, I recommend just replacing it for how easy it is and how inexpensive they are. I've never had good luck flushing them out. They've always not worked as well as they did when they were new. So pretty easy to swap out. Again, these parts are universal. The other parts like the tensioning screw and the bolt there, they're not universal, but it doesn't really matter. All you need to get to replace it is just the clutch. The Saint, the GRX, XTR, like pretty much every Shimano derailleur with a clutch is going to be very similar. A few small changes just with the angle and stuff like that, but pretty easy to do. Will definitely solve your shifting problems. You'll if you're dropping chains and that kind of stuff, then you might want to look at your clutch too. So there's how to change out a clutch. If you found this video useful, just smash the like button, leave a comment what you would like to see next, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.